Now, what's the difference?
Can you say that one more time?
Endocrine system secretes into the tissues and fluids of the body.
Okay.
And then exocrine has ducts to excrete out of the body. So remember ducts. Now, what about the endocrine system versus the nervous system? How do we send messages through the nervous system? What are those chemicals? Neurotransmitters. Okay, and the endocrine system sends signals, but how do we send signals through there? Hormones. They're both chemicals. You need neurotransmitters for the nervous system, hormones for the endocrine system. Which one's faster? Nervous system. Which one's longer lasting? Okay, good. So, what are the two chemical classifications of hormones? Steroid and non-steroid. So when they say chemical classification, that's the first things that should pop up is steroid and non-steroid. Now, with chemical classification, we're asking you what is it made out of? And if you know what it's made out of, you know how it acts. So here we have a couple of cells, and let's do steroid versus non-steroid. Steroids are made out of what? Cholesterol, good. The one thing nobody said. But cholesterol is a lipid. And non-steroid hormones are made out of what?
Amino acids.
Proteins, okay, good. Amino acids is good. Now, steroids, since they're lipids, are lipid soluble. Why is this important? What is your cell membrane made out of?
Phospholipid bilayer.
Yeah, there you go. Bilayer phospholipid membrane. And protein is water soluble. So if you want to get a signal to the nucleus of a cell, the steroid hormone can go through what? The cell membrane, because it's a lipid, and lipids like each other, right? So all a steroid hormone has to do is go right through the cell membrane and act on the nucleus, telling the nucleus, hey, to do something. Okay? Non-steroid hormones are protein-based, water-soluble, so can that hormone get through that cell membrane?
No.
No. So what does this cell membrane have to have for that hormone? So it needs a receptor first. There has to be a receptor for that, and that receptor is specific for that hormone. Then,
protein receptor? Is it a protein receptor or just a receptor?
just a receptor for your hormone, okay? Don't go that deep.
Is it our
Well, if you remember, non-steroid hormones are what type of hormones? Protein-based. And to be a non-steroid, you have to have a receptor on the surface to know that that hormone's even out there. So yes, it is going to sense proteins, but I want you to remember more hormone. Okay? Now, that receptor receives, let's say it's thyroid stimulating hormone. And the follicle cell of the thyroid has a receptor for what hormone?
That specific hormone.
Exactly. So, when that hormone binds with the receptor, how does that nucleus know? There's a secondary messenger called cyclic AMP. You just want to remember secondary messenger. Now, that's all good. And I always remember it this way. If my wife's at home and she's too tired because of the babies and all the other things going on to fix dinner, she calls me. Says, hey, Mike, bring dinner home. So what do? I go straight through the door and bring dinner to her. Okay? Now, let's say I say, hell no. What's she going to do? She's going to order pizza. What's the pizza man do? He goes to the door and rings the doorbell to let her know he's out there. So that's kind of like what non-steroid hormones do. The hormone binds with the receptor. That receptor sends the message saying, hey, this hormone's out here. We need to do something. So which one is specific for its target? Non-steroid. Because what does the cell have to have on its surface to receive that non-steroid hormone? So if a cell doesn't have a receptor for that hormone, does that hormone do anything to it? No. Thyroid stimulating hormone goes throughout the bloodstream, goes through the circulatory system. Does it do anything to my big toe? No. It only affects one cell, the follicle cell of the thyroid. Because what does that cell have? A receptor for TSH. Does that make more sense now or any sense at all? And the reason why steroids are bad, and I'm saying when they're used incorrectly or in the medical field, they're used a lot because it's either you breathe or you die. Okay? People with asthma get steroids. Why? Because it decreases inflammation so that those airways open up. But steroids act on all cells. So people on prednisone therapy for a long period of time start to get, looks like Cushing's. They get the moon face. They start to gain weight. Their immune system tanks. Because cortisol, which prednisone, cortisol are similar, cortisol is what hormone? What's it for? Stress. So, people under stress all the time, what happens to them? They typically gain weight and get sick. So all we're doing with prednisone is giving them cortisol so that we decrease inflammation. But we're going to get them sick. So that's why people on prednisone, they go on a taper. It'll go up and then they slowly bring them back off of it. Okay? Or you can't get a cortisone shot or in your knee or in your elbow every day. You can only get one about every 3 months or so. Because they're a cortisol, the steroid itself. But if they're diabetics, that goes into a different thing because cortisol increases blood sugar. But so does stress. Hello? Hey? I'm sorry. Yeah. Because I was on my way, now I'm here. You're okay. Okay. I was just checking to see if he had me sign anything else I wasn't there for. All right. Love you too. Bye. She just does that for you guys. Any other time, it'd be like, bye. Bring her some pizza. Okay. So that's the difference between steroid and non-steroid. What are the controls?